The Golden State Warriors are a team that's a bit of a mystery right now. Why is that? Well, they started out the season red hot, and things seem to be on their way to another record-breaking season since Klay Thompson was coming back. Then, Steph Curry went into a slump, Draymond Green got injured and has been out for almost 30 games, and they can't seem to get their rhythm back. And now, they're 1-3 out of the All-Star break, and people are wondering if they're going to make a good run in the playoffs. Allow us to show you how Stephen Curry reveals reason for Warriors' struggles. Curry on the state of the Warriors. As we just noted, it is no secret that Golden State has not been playing their best basketball. But what exactly is the issue? According to Steph Curry, it is a lack of consistency and focus. When asked what has gone wrong for the Warriors recently, Curry said that, "Really, it's just consistency and focus and IQ, and just understanding how certain teams are trying to execute against us and what we can do, mostly defensively, what we can do to counter that." Curry added that the lack of consistency is the primary issue. "We have a lot of different rotations and lineups and just trying to make adjustments on the fly, but we have to, like Coach said, be more connected. Just be more in sync as a five-man unit, whoever is out there. We realize how hard it is to win in this league. We say it a lot because we have guys who have been around and know what it takes. Nights like tonight where you just don't play a good brand of basketball defensively, to give yourself a chance to win on the road against the team that you allow to have life, you aren't going to win a lot of games that way," Curry said. The Warriors are still in sole possession of the second seed, and while the gap between them and Memphis is closed, Golden State controls their own destiny in terms of whether or not they finish top two. Perhaps more important than seeding is developing good habits and momentum entering the playoffs. The eventual return of Draymond Green will certainly help on all fronts, but while the Warriors await his return, Steph Curry has outlined what they must do better. Whether they actually do it or not is up in the air though, because those comments came before the Warriors lost their third straight game in a row to a team they may face in the playoffs via the Dallas Mavericks. And as such, even the coach, future Hall of Famer Steve Kerr, is worried. Steve Kerr weighs in. After the game with the Mavericks, Kerr confessed that the Warriors are desperate right now. According to the three-time NBA champion coach, they are in dire need of Draymond Green to come back at the soonest possible time. "Obviously, we're gonna have to get healthy," Kerr said, via Warriors on NBCS on Twitter. "We desperately need Draymond. You guys know that. If we get Draymond healthy, in rhythm, hopefully with some good amount of action going into the playoffs." Green has been out of action with a back injury since early January, and at this point, he still has no firm timetable to return. He appears to be getting close. Green got some 3-on-3 action in during Wednesday's practice, but as of yet, the Warriors have not indicated when the former Defensive Player of the Year will come back. The good news for the Dubs is that Green has rejoined the squad after being away for a considerable period. The All-Star forward flew to Dallas to link up with his teammates, and while he was not able to take the floor, his mere presence in the locker room was a key factor for the Warriors. Kerr definitely seems to think so. "He's great," Kerr said. "He's inspiring in the locker room. Feels lighter, looser, more fun. And then he's constantly giving guys suggestions and thoughts during the game. He's like another coach." The Warriors are quickly losing their grip on the second spot in the Western Conference. Right now, they are just one game ahead of the Memphis Grizzlies in the loss column. Ja Morant and co. also lost on Thursday to the Boston Celtics, so this gives the Dubs a bit more breathing room. The Warriors return to action on Saturday to face off against a struggling Los Angeles Lakers side. Needless to say, the Dubs need to win that one. Gary Payton II. Something that should be said is that Kerr isn't just waiting for Draymond to come back. He's been trying to figure out ways to fill the void by not just putting in certain rotations, but making sure that certain players get the time they need to make the team better. One of his fixes, if you will, was to put in Gary Payton II in Draymond's spot in the starting roster. "A little more defensive versatility and gets Gary on the floor more," Kerr continued. "I think getting him more minutes right now is important. I think you could see his impact the other night. So starting him allows us to give him an extra rotation at the beginning of the game, which bumps him up closer to 20 minutes, give or take a few. That'll probably continue, but who knows? We'll see." Payton was a defensive force against the Denver Nuggets in the Warriors' final game before the break. He recorded a career-high 6 steals and 1 empathetic block against MVP frontrunner Nikola Jokic. Yes, they lost that game, and ironically, Payton II wasn't on the floor when the game-winning shot came in. But while the Warriors did destroy their first opponent off the break, they again lost 3 straight, 2 of which was to the Mavericks. So while Payton may be helping, it's not the immediate fix that the Warriors absolutely need in order to get through this slump that they're in. The importance of Draymond. To some out there who may not be the biggest Warriors fan, you might not understand why Draymond is so important to the squad that has 2 of the best shooters ever via Curry and Thompson on call. The answer is the same reason why Michael Jordan and LeBron James took a while to get their first rings, despite the fact that they were transcendent players. Everyone needs help. In this case, Draymond isn't just a defensive presence. He's a guy who helps his other guys get open because he's a threat himself. No, he'll never be the big scorer that the other 2 are, but he's fine with that because that's not his role. His role is to help control the tempo and get the ball to his guys so that they can make the easy basket. Both Curry and Thompson are shooting worse than ever at 3-point range because there's more pressure on them due to Green not being on the floor. He's also a motivator on the floor and a guy who will get everyone amped up. That kind of presence can change games. But will he be 100% and help the Warriors get to the finals like many feel they could with him? That's to be determined. Finals or bust. For the last 2 seasons, the Warriors have been a literal shell of their former selves. Klay Thompson was out for 2 seasons straight due to injuries. Curry had an injury in 1 season and then almost willed his team to the playoffs last year, but came up just short. This was supposed to be the season where everything and everyone reconnected in order to get the job done and get them back into the finals. And at the beginning of the season, it was working beautifully. They were hardly losing. Curry was playing at an MVP level, and Klay was just itching to get back on the floor. But then they hit a slump, and then they got out of it, and then they hit another one. Now, while it's fair to say that Green is what they need, there are some that would argue that they should be fine without them, and thus they need to get to the NBA Finals, else this season was a failure. Is that fair? Not really. And to be clear, the Warriors are still a good team and only have 20 losses this season right now. But you can definitely say that the Warriors would be disappointed with themselves if they did this well and yet didn't go that far. So, what do you think? What do you think of this look at the Golden State Warriors and how they are in need of help from an old friend? Do you think they'll be able to work things out in order to get where they need to be? Or will they continue to struggle going into the playoffs? What happens in your mind if Draymond doesn't come back? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on the channel.